back to Trashe Goes to the Movies. Today we go into the vault all the way back to 1994 and revisit one of the most beloved and polarizing movies of all time, Forrest Gump. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, Forrest Gump is an adaptation of the 1986 novel of the same name written by Winston Groom. The film stars Tom Hanks in the titular role, as well as Robin Wright, Gary Sinise, Michael T. Williamson, and Sally Field. This film was both critically and commercially acclaimed, earning the Best Picture Oscar at the 67th Academy Awards over Pulp Fiction and The Shawshank Redemption. Hanks also won the Best Actor in a leading role, and Zemeckis won for Best Director. The film ranks 37th on the American Film Institute's Best Films of All Time. So I think we should just dive right in to this movie. It's a movie that a lot of people have seen, so I don't think there are spoilers in this review. So
if you haven't seen Forrest Gump, go drown yourself.
The film begins innocently on a park bench in Savannah, Georgia in 1981. The protagonist of the film, Forrest Gump, notices a single feather floating and landing at his feet. This feather is a trigger for the MK Ultra program, which activates Forrest Gump as a secret agent. At this point, he begins to confess a series of crimes that he's committed over the years to various strangers that sit at the bus stop.
So how you going with this one?
Forrest flashes back to his earliest days in Greenbow, Alabama, where he resides with his mother.
Sometimes, folks, it's best to just let him go.
His mother is a Ghislaine Maxwell-esque figure who runs a boarding house that poses as a front for bribery, sexual slavery, political espionage,
and that damn rock music.
Well, this is a way for her to position her son as the Manchurian candidate. Forrest is camouflaged in plain sight as a person with disabilities with a curved spine. He wears braces on his legs, much like Gypsy Rose in the future. I think found inspiration from this.
Oh, you think this is where Gypsy Rose got, and her mother, may she rest, got their inspiration.
She even sexually manipulates his principal of his school, Mr. Gorpley, who in turn blew her balky out. He even meets a young Elvis Presley, who he also, his mother manipulates to bring a sexual revolution among some girls to help out her business.
This is when Elvis is still gay, right? Early Elvis was gay.
Still. First day of school, he meets a young girl named Jenny, who becomes his best friend and co-partner in the Gump empire.
Oh, John, not Jenny. She was an innocent.
She is the Jeffrey Epstein to his Ghislaine Maxwell.
Really? That's how you're going with it? Why couldn't she be the Ghislaine? I thought his mother was Ghislaine.
Her mother's more actually, honestly, like Robert Maxwell, and she's Ghislaine. He's Ghislaine. She's Epstein in this analogy.
I'm going down this rabbit hole. Might as well just hold on.
Now, in his recount of his life, he tells about his time in high school where he, again, is camouflaged as a child with disabilities. One iconic scene, he's seen fleeing these bullies, and the leg braces break off as he reveals himself to be the Nietzsche Ubermensch. His incredible speed, also given by the
Yellow Sun.
No, the super soldier serum. Made him a football star. He had incredible speed, which allowed him to get a scholarship to the University of Alabama. In 1963, he positions himself at the University of Alabama, Governor Wallace's stand at the schoolhouse door. He later on, off camera, attempts to assassinate Governor Wallace for the state. None of these assassinations are shown on screen, of course, because Forrest Gump is an unreliable narrator, seen in several other films, such as Fight Club.
Also, he's switching personalities in your narrative here, correct?
Not my narrative. This was the narrative of the screenwriter and Winston Groom. to a degree. Well, he also is a star as a kick returner for the University of Alabama football team, where he plays for Bear Bryant.
Was he the guy with the hat in the movie? The coach with the hat?
No, he's the guy with the fur coat on the claws.
Oh, he's like Jake Mather.
Forrest becomes one of the best kick returners in the country and earns All-American honors. This earns him a trip to the White House, where he meets President John F. Kennedy.
And drinks about 13 of them Dr. Peppers.
Those Dr. Peppers were super soldier serum.
That's what they all were. They just keep pumping them up.
What's 23 times 2?
It's 46.
And who has 46 of what?
Chromosomes? Most of us.
Forrest, they said, had an extra one.
46 and 2?
Did he? So he meets President John F. Kennedy during his trip with the other All-American athletes.
And this is where John Kennedy grabs one of the Dr. Peppers that Forrest like comedically shook up to a ridiculous degree and tries to drink it in the car and then blows his own brains out with a Dr. Pepper cap.
No. Forrest Gump was not near there during the Kennedy assassination. He actually did frame one of his high school bullies, Lee Harvey Oswald, for the murder, which was committed by a series of governments, criminal organizations. After college, Forrest enlists in the Army, where he meets his future.
So, just real quick, he's so bass-ackwards. He goes into the Army after college.
You'd think that this is this is not the way things are typically done. This is all by design.
Okay.
This is all by design from his mother, who I don't even know has a name at this point.
Ms. Gump.
Ms. Gump. So Forrest enlists in the Army, where he is paired with another member of the super soldier program, Benjamin Buford Blue, codename Bubba. Bubba is the heir apparent to a fleet of shrimp boats that are actually used to transport guns, drugs, and uranium.
Fleet?
A fleet.
It's just one boat.
So Forrest, being the businessman, super genius that he is, strikes a deal with Bubba to incorporate the shrimp boats into transporting human beings as well.
Oh, trafficking. Oh, wonderful.
Yes. 1967, they're sent to Vietnam, where they meet Warhawk Lieutenant Daniel Taylor, as he's known on the official records. Lieutenant Dan, who is the face of the operation, is assigned to a group of soldiers whose mission it is to rescue trapped politicians in the jungle in the Mekong Delta. However, when they arrive, they find no politicians, but instead a string of dead bodies. Soon they discover that they're not there on a rescue mission, but instead being hunted by technologically advanced extraterrestrial.
No.
What?
Was one of those dead bodies Lieutenant Jim Hopper?
No. Yes. Yeah, he was there. Why?
Out of Fort Bragg?
Yeah.
I can't believe you're doing it.
Well, this is great.
I can't believe you're doing it.
There's more.
So much is wrong with you.
Forrest manages to rescue most of the men, including Lieutenant Dan, who loses his legs. But, unfortunately, Bubba is killed after the extraterrestrial picks him up with one hand and stabs him and impales him with a knife attached to his wrist. On his dying wish, he asks Forrest to continue his operations back in the United States. You know, did you remember that part of the movie?
I am so checking out of this right now. I cannot believe you're doing this.
What? I'm just talking about.
You what? Ugly mother.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Bubba, you son of a bitch.
What's the matter, Bubba? Did you get weak from pushing all those colored pencils? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this?
It's part of the movie.
It's not.
Upon
I thought you were going to say he rescued John McCain,
no.
and you blew that away.
What are you talking about?
You blew that completely out of the water.
Did you not see that part of the movie?
I did not.
How long has it been since you've seen this movie?
It's been a minute.
Upon returning to the United States, Forrest Gump is awarded the Medal of Honor by President Lyndon B. Johnson in exchange for his silence. Right?
And what happened to Dan's legs? How'd they get blown off?
They were cut off by the
beast.
Let's just say it was a predatorial alien from another planet that spawned sequels after that.
Did he blast them off?
Huh?
Did he blast them off?
Possibly with an explosion.
Yeah.
Forrest dragged him out, and then he covered himself in mud.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the United States, he reconnects with Jenny, who is undercover as a hippie in the hippie movement. Jenny is recruiting drug-addled women into their operation. What?
No, keep going.
He later meets Abby Hoffman, who was a member of the Chicago Seven and a giant figure in the hippie flower power movement. He later injects Abby Hoffman with Dr. Pepper and stages the scene to look like an overdose. One of the many, many assassinations that he commits in this movie off camera. This is all off camera, of course.
Certainly.
Forrest Gump then works as a triple agent for the Chinese government, where he is an agent for the United States, double agent for the Chinese, and then back another agent for the United States. He uses the cover as a ping pong champion to be able to maneuver his way around the country without being noticed. This earns him an appearance on the Dick Cavett show, where he meets John Lennon, who also he assassinates kills and frames Mark David Chapman, again off camera.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, do you believe that Forrest is a good person and just doing what he's told, or does he take enjoyment in this?
I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm qualified to make that statement. I got to watch this movie again. There's something I missed.
Oh, you really do?
Yeah.
Especially the part with the predators.
That part.
That went on for like an extra hour and a half.
That I feel like I know that pretty good, specifically, but it's not what I thought it was.
It's very good.
Was Forrest working out back then?
Oh, he was huge.
He was okay.
He had a buzz. He had the same haircut.
Haircut's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, he was huge, man. He hung out with Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
And Bubba was there.
Bubba was there.
Yeah.
Bubba keeps shaving in the
Yeah, until he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Forrest manipulates his way into meeting President Richard Nixon.
At
one point. Then double crosses him after he is invited to stay at the Watergate Hotel, exposing the Watergate scandal, which he incidentally
masterminded. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're getting it.
I'm picking up your thread. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
You see, man, you got to think, dude.
Can someone come turn these lights out? I think it's Nixon. I'm pretty sure it was someone. Maybe it was Nixon.
It looks like
President
Nixon.
Richard Milhouse Nixon. All right, we're in the 70s now, at least.
Forrest is discharged from the army and uses the money that he earned from the Chinese government to funnel to a ping pong paddle company to buy a fleet of boats under the name Bubba Gump Industries. I believe it was Industries. But he bought a single boat. This boat was initially designed as a way to continue the trafficking business that Bubba and his family had, but he manipulated his family. He bought them off much in the way that Ray Kroc did McDonald's, the McDonald family.
So Bubba got iced out.
Oh, his family did. They got blue-balled.
No, I'm not taking the bait.
Go ahead. No. Don't say it.
Nope. I'm not Anthony Cumia.
Lieutenant Dan at this point joins Forrest,
Dan Taylor Cheney,
and uses the heart machine to change the atmospheric pressure, causing the shrimp to center in Biola battery.
I don't know if
Sorry.
I like where this is headed.
Biola battery.
Using the HARP machine.
Yeah, the HARP weather machine. You know what I mean?
I know what it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They use the HARP machine to cause a concentration of shrimp to move in to Biola battery, aka, or I guess the Greenbow. I'm not sure how far Biola battery and Greenbow are from each other.
One's in Louisiana and one's in Alabama.
Let's just say they're near each other because there's some sort of gulf.
There's a gulf of something.
Right. Let's just say something.
Something.
A Gulf of Gump is what I call it.
Mm-hmm. Gump Gulf.
They launch a legitimate business that they officially named the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, right? Now, this company is legitimate, but they use it as a tax shelter. I'm just telling the truth.
He's telling the truth.
I'm just telling the truth, guys.
He's just telling the truth.
You don't like it, man, don't
Why
watch
don't you like
the movie. Don't watch it. Soon after this, unfortunately, Forrest's mother dies, leaving him as the sole proprietor of the Gump Empire, which focuses on trafficking, drugs, blackmail, political espionage, etc. But he is the sole proprietor at this point. Sad, dude.
Sad scene.
It was sad.
It's super sad.
It was so sad. Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump then invest their money from the tax shelter that is the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company into a company named Apple, which makes them millionaires. Forrest then pays off the locals for their silence through philanthropic ventures, etc. Much in the way that Pablo Escobar did, as you know. Jenny, now on the run from a significant South American cartel, decides to come back to Greenbow and stay with Forrest on Gump Island. What? Gump Island.
Okay.
You know.
I just thought it was a house.
Well, you know what happened on Gump Island, right?
I don't.
The flight logs.
I don't.
Release them, dude.
I don't.
Release
I don't have them.
I'm not saying you do. Do you? Gump Island. Forrest inseminates Jenny, and then she goes back on the run, living in Canada. At this point, Forrest orchestrates a publicity stunt, getting several Forrest Gump impersonators to run to various points in the country, which attracts the attention of the mainstream media. Forrest uses this distraction as an alibi as he commits many assassinations during this time.
That's actually pretty clever.
Off camera.
Very clever. Using a lot of like Fleetwood Mac music to make people
running on empty Jackson Brown. Yeah. So then we're back to the beginning of the film. It goes back to the beginning. He's now sitting on the bench. It's 1981, Savannah, Georgia. He tells this rotating group of strangers at the bus that he is on his way to reconnect with Jenny, who has something important to tell him. This may be the emotional apex of this movie, because this is where Forrest is introduced to his son, Forrest Gump Jr., who later on becomes a child charlatan who poses as a spiritual medium and, more recently, anti-Semitic skier.
I knew you couldn't pass this up.
What?
I knew when you told me we were doing this, I was like, I know exactly where he's going to run this train right into.
What is the train?
This train, this madness. This is all about your hatred of Haley Joel Osment.
No, I don't have a hatred. I don't even know who that is. I'm talking about Forrest Gump, the socialite.
Okay.
Forrest Gump Jr. If you've seen the film, you know that Forrest Jr. and Jenny move back to Greenbow, Alabama, to Gump Island with Forrest.
Not giving that one up, but go okay.
Gump Island. Jenny and Forrest decide to get married, which is a lovely ceremony, and they're joined by none other than Lieutenant Dan himself, who is now with his wife.
Yeah, I remember all this. Yeah.
who turns out to be Mark Zuckerberg's future mother-in-law.
You zagged on me. I thought you were going to say Margaret Cho.
Hey, Forrest. Hey, Forrest. Oh, my fat Asian wife, Susan. Lieutenant Dan, I thought you said that they should never go out of that country. And that whole country, after the Predator took
Can it.
I thought you said that her hands were perfect for stitching and nothing else. I thought that was in the movie, isn't it?
Clearly, I need to rewatch.
Hey, maybe we could incorporate her and bring some of her relatives on my boat. Those are good shrimping waters, if you know what I mean. I mean, we sex traffic people from that country, Lieutenant Dan. Of course, they're saying the quiet part out loud. They get married, but unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, Jenny fakes her own death, moves to Switzerland.
What?
Well, she's at this point a government target for, let's just say, certain activities that have happened in the past.
Okay.
But that doesn't stop Forrest from having a funeral for her. He buries an empty casket under a tree like a goddamn German Shepherd.
You can't let that go, can you?
No. Why would you bury?
I mean, yes, he did. But I think there's more to it than that.
Now, Lieutenant Dan, I forgot to mention this. Lieutenant Dan now at this point has artificial legs that were created
magic
by
legs.
Which he calls magic legs. Now, these cyber legs, these legs were made by a group, a predecessor to Cyberdyne, called Omni Consumer Products Incorporated.
OPC or OCP? OCP out of Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah. Have you heard of them?
I think I might have.
They've done great things. There was a police officer who was badly injured that they brought back, and I think that he was
Alex Murphy.
Yeah. Did you read about that?
I remember the headlines.
Yeah. And this movie has now reached its conclusion. And at this point, it's coming around full circle for Forrest Sr. He's now sending his son to school on the first day of school, and his son, who has the same haircut as his hero, Anton Chigurh, is boarding the bus for the first time, just as Forrest did. Again, a single feather floats
out of the book. The Forrest had previously put it in.
Floats in the air.
Up and out.
This is where Forrest begins to contemplate his own mortality. A man who's taken so many lives now realizes he's vulnerable and capable of death himself, dying himself. His son, he sees boarding the bus, is now taking the first steps to taking over the Gump empire. And at time,
he's a better ping pong player than him.
Sure. He beat the shit out of him in ping pong.
The dog shit out of him.
But he also had a dead Bruce Willis with him, so
he's going left.
And a walrus man. Forrest realizes that as much as things change, life and time, it's a full circle. He's trying to figure out now, what is his place in this new revolution of time? And ultimately, he realizes that this is no country for old men.
You said no country for old men.
Why
did you say that?
Oh, because, you know, he was once the...
No, I got it. Why did you say that?
There's a saying that I like to say that life is like a box of onions. When you peel back the layers, you're left with tears in your eyes. I think that's all I have to say about that. Overall, this is my favorite movie of all time. And I give this political thriller 5 steel dossiers out of 5. What about you? What did you think about this movie, and how do you think it holds up in today's society? in the zeitgeist of today.
I'm so floored by everything you've done here today. I don't know how to give this a rational thought. So I'm just gonna go with my go-to on the Army Man scale.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it 8.2 Army Mans. In spite of all that fucking madness you just spit out here and infected the ether with.
And do you recommend this movie to all ages?
No. Now I'm thinking that no one under 13 should see this movie.
Oh, but they're going to.
I don't think so. I think with what it's done to you, I mean, you scream and curse and cry. I saw you kiss the TV screen once. You just there's something incredibly wrong with you. And if this movie has anything, even a 0.1% bit of culpability in it, there's something a little bit wrong with this movie too. So you get 8.2 Army Mans, but you get none of the support.
You think this movie should have won Best Movie over Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption in it was 1995, but the movies that came out in 94?
I do not.
Mm.
I do not.
And do you know that all three of those movies are actually tied into the same story?
Oh God, no.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Andy Dufresne, his wife was murdered by Forrest Gump. Marcellus Wallace worked for the Gump Corporation. So to me, they were all part of a trilogy or spin-offs of
the
Forrest
Gump
Gump
Consortium.
Mm-hmm. Guys, I mean, rewatch this movie. Think about what happened here today. I want you to
pray for John.
Guys, I'm gonna be fine. Well, that's gonna just about do it for us today.
I think that's just gonna do it for the movie reviews.
We're gonna lock that vault up, and we're gonna see you next time at the movies.
You have fucking mental illness when it comes to this movie. I've never seen anything like it. I couldn't say shit during this entire thing, and when you edit this together, I'm gonna know when certain things come up because you're gonna laugh with the headphones on. People at home, I want to tell you, whenever you see of this, what hit the cutting room floor was just so insane. You have no clue. The fucking autistic general over here, he went all out and he wrote pages and pages. We don't write anything for any of this shit. He came with a manuscript. It wasn't even a manuscript. It was a manifesto, is what it was. He couldn't have been more excited about this episode. This sick man. I don't know how much of this he really believes in. How much